Welcome to the 10th episode of the current review with Central News, supported by the Unsaid Podcast by Tebogo, Kotsi, supported by the TT Hookup by Thamsanqa Tu. We are live on Central News Live, which you can catch on Facebook Live on their Facebook page. It's also available on YouTube. Also available on a number of podcast platforms like your Apple Podcast. Like I said, my name is Thamsanqa Tu, otherwise known as TT, and today we are going to be joined by Lesego Makhubela, the spokesperson of the ANC, the African National Congress in the province of Gauteng. Good morning, Mr. Makhubela.
Morning to you and morning to your listeners, as well as Bratebza.
Thank you. We're hoping that you are well and warm. We are in a very warm part of the country ourselves here. Or well, at least I am, because I think you guys are at the two extreme ends of where I am. But very warm, very, very beautiful. But I want us to get quickly to the gist of what we are here about today, né? The registration weekend, elections registration weekend. How did the ANC assist with the election with the registration this past weekend?
Well,
did you assist the
think
IEC? You guys left it to the IEC to deal with it.
No, we did not only leave it to the IEC, but we mobilized all our structures, ground structures, alliance partners, as well as our leagues, the Youth League, the Young Communities League, COSAS, as well as all other NGOs that exist in various communities, and all our members who were volunteers for the weekend to go out and remind those who have relocated into Gauteng and those who voted in previous elections to check their status, but also to target specifically young people who have never voted all their lives.
Why is it important for the ANC to be involved in that kind of work of mobilizing for registrations?
Many people, especially in the ANC, died fighting for the right of our people to be able to express their voice, to be able to vote, to choose a government of their making, and also for the right to self-determination. Many of our leaders who are still alive and those who are gone perished and spent most of their lives as fugitives, family-loving men living on the streets, in exile, in prison, and also dedicated the best years of their lives for this particular right, the right for our people to be able to vote. And I think it's something that mainstream media and many people who are against the democratic project, and in particular against the ANC, have worked so hard to erase from the memory of our people that yesterday we were not allowed to be able to express ourselves in a manner in which we are, through the power of the vote.
When you did your introductory remarks right now, you did say that Gauteng has got a peculiar feature about elections, that there are people coming into Gauteng every year. Now, even in elections, it's different for, I would assume that it's different from the Free State, from Limpopo and other provinces in terms of voter registration as well as voter patterns. How difficult is it to manage, a consistent voter registration or a voter's role, for Gauteng? Is it important to keep that work going, or are you only looking at it during like these open weekend registrations, for elections?
Well, it's very difficult to govern even in Gauteng, because what one of its defining features is that it has inward migration. No one leaves Gauteng. So you are saying every year, every 2 months, there's 350,000 people that move into Gauteng. 350,000 people. mainly from other provinces. And when they arrive in Gauteng, they immediately demand services. It's either you move into an urban area, into the flats, or you move mostly, which is what we've realized, they move into our informal settlements. And when they arrive there, they demand water, they demand electricity, they demand roads, they demand houses. These are people who move into the province. For instance, we concluded the school intake for the 2024 academic year, for primary and secondary schools, grade 8 and grade 1 for next year. We've concluded it. I can tell you that by January next year, we're going to have almost 700,000 plus new applicants who have just migrated into Gauteng, who must immediately be placed into our schools. So that is the challenge with Gauteng, and that's what we are facing. And that's because we have done so well in all these years in terms of governance, the quality of our education, which expresses itself in terms of the school results, as well as the quality of the learners that we are producing, but also the quality of the grade 12 results. But secondly, the quality of our healthcare. If you are to collapse right now, Thamsanqa, the likelihood is that you might be sent into one of the public hospitals in Gauteng. We're treating even people who come from other provinces in our hospitals. But also because of Gauteng is the economic hub of the country, most of the companies' headquarters are here. The Johannesburg Stock Exchange is here, and many of the economic drivers, such as the mining companies, their headquarters are here. And also we still have isolated areas, especially in the rural parts of our province, in the West Rand. You still have the mining activities that are still taking place. So you have a matrix of all those dynamics that make our province a very interesting province. It's somewhat a concrete jungle where everybody comes here for a better life.
Given all that, how successful, therefore, were your endeavors this past weekend, before I hand over to Tebsa?
Extremely successful. We're happy with the voter turnout, but it also gave us a unique opportunity to interact with our people in a different way. You will know that municipalities in Gauteng, most of them, especially the metros, are hung municipalities governed through the coalition after being collapsed for nearly 10 years by the DA. And everywhere we went where there were challenges, we found out these are municipal challenges that were created by the DA misrule, which were governing through Action SA, and they're in government with Action SA in places like Tshwane, where you have people who have not had water for the past 4 years, where you have people in a place like Hammanskraal, where people are dying of cholera, where you have serious challenges. And these challenges are created by local government, and we had to interact with those people. We went to areas such as Soweto, where there are challenges of transformers. You will know that the competency of electricity is the competence of municipalities, but we've had to intervene because in such areas you find that municipalities are so cash strapped that they can't even afford to replace transformers and all sorts of things. The provincial government had to dig deep into its heels and intervene in such places. So it was a very successful campaign. We were able to meet with a lot of our people. We were able to listen to them. And in fact, we took a decision that that process is ongoing. We'll be establishing teams that will go in those areas and continue with that work.
So, in terms of, you spoke about young people that are coming into the province, and I'm assuming we're looking at an age of 18 to 19 or 20 years old. And according to what I'm looking at I'm on the IEC website, and I'm looking at the stats in terms of the age between 18 and 19, that particular age group hasn't been captured because there's only 34,000 female registered young voters and 24,000 male registered young voters. What I've noticed in the past is that most of political parties, including the ANC, they've been struggling to capture this particular market because there's lack of interest or maybe lack of knowledge. And I'm not seeing much in terms of the ANC doing much to capture these young people. How are you guys planning to turn around that situation due to the fact that it's got a high number of population, this age group?
Well, voter apathy the world over is a challenge, even in some of the most developed democracies, such as the ones in the north of America, the United States of America, Canada, as well as in Europe, where democracy has been in existence for over a century. It's a challenge. It has been a challenge even in our country from 1994. For instance, if you use the very same data that you can extrapolate from the IEC website, you will realize even from 1994, the voter turnout amongst young people has been down. There's been a lot of theories around why the youth don't go out to vote. I mean, in all the elections that have taken place in our country, young people have simply stayed away. During the elections in 2008 in the United States, it became a miracle when Obama was able to, through his campaign, which was solely based on social media and so forth, was able to get a large number of young people to go out and vote. But also even that science in later elections did not help. For the first time, we've had a situation where the IEC was able to say, okay, we have a challenge of young people who don't want to go and queue and all sorts of things. They migrated the registration online. So young people could easily register online, whether through going to the website of the IEC or using their phones through an SMS to be able to register. But still, even those are still very low. So it shows that voter apathy becomes a problem. I don't think it's a matter of young people, and this is a theory as well. Like I said, there are a lot of theories that are bandied around. I don't think it's a lack of young people being conscientized. I think if you look at the school curriculum at primary school, secondary school, as well as our high schools, young people are imparted with a deeper understanding of where our country comes from and what I would have explained earlier, this right to be able to vote for a political party of your choice and to participate in the making of a government of your own choice comes from. So we still have a lot of work. I mean, the IEC even published some sort of a survey that after being pressed by a lot of political parties, that they need to do more to be able to pull out young people in their numbers to participate in these elections. And some parties suggested that you have to take out, celebrities. But the IEC did a scientific study, and that study revealed that celebrities don't necessarily even help and get these young people out. So we still have to have a science that begins to check. I mean, even if we participate we have organizations, our youth formations participate in SRC elections, in institutions of higher learning, in universities, in colleges. And if you can go to these institutions, go and check the number of people that vote. For instance, in a university like Tshwane University of Technology, out of 30,000 plus students, only less than 4,000 students voted. Even for
what do you think causes the apathy from these young people?
I'm saying, there are a lot of theories that are thrown around, and I don't think that you would want me to discuss theories. There's a lot of
but you say yourself, you have it's not too long since you were out of the ANC Youth League, so you are fairly young, youth endala, but quite young. What were your experiences, as interacting with young people around, the need to vote, in particular to vote the ANC? I'm sure you did receive some resistance at some point. What were the tangible things that young people were talking to you about?
Well, many of the young people, especially in the Gauteng province, you know that there is a national or the worldwide calamity of unemployment, which has been exacerbated by the fact that we just came from a post-COVID economy, and we are still reeling from that post-COVID economy. But it was further exacerbated by the situation in Ukraine, where one of our largest trading partners is engaged in a war, where there is a backlash by the West against that particular country, which has literally put the international economy on its knees. While we're still trying to deal with the tiptoeing around that, there's a situation in the Middle East involving the massacre of Palestinians by the Israelis. And that has created a problem in that part of the world, especially amongst OPEC countries. And that in itself, because of the nature of the international political economy and how globalized our economy is, it's affected by whatever happens in any part of the world. So because of that, there's no nation in the world that has registered economic growth, that has been able to produce jobs at the rate and scale that we would desire. So the first one is the issue of jobs. So you have young people who are not working, which is their primary challenge. But
now,
second
going back to the voter registration weekend, I'm sorry to derail you a bit.
Yeah.
What were the major challenges that, as the ANC faced at the voting stations this past weekend?
Well, as I would have explained, that the uniqueness of the situation in Gauteng is that we had a number of protests in some of the voting stations on the basis of municipal services and the complexities that these municipalities in Gauteng are led by coalitions. For instance, in Tshwane, it has been led for a decade by the DA through an alliance with Action SA. That municipality has completely collapsed. There's nothing it can be able to do. That if it pays its salaries this month, it will be a miracle. It can't maintain any of its water treatment plants. It can't be able to respond to challenges of electricity, the cleanliness of areas in Tshwane. And we've had serious situations around that. The second other place where we had protests was in Soweto, where you had areas where people had issues of transformers, where the municipality is almost unable to replace those transformers because of how cash-strapped those municipalities have become under a salad of parties which govern there. So that has created a serious problem for us, and that's what those were the challenges that we experienced in many of our voting stations.
And to jump in on what you're saying,
yeah,
you saw other political parties like EFF and the DA. The DA claimed they're very close in terms of taking over Gauteng, and the EFF was more focused in terms of the thorn in the room, which is the Alex issue. And it's something that I'm not seeing the ANC doing much about it. You spoke about service deliveries and all that. And we know in the midst of everything, it's a halangkor. At the end of the day, young people will be standing in front doing for service deliveries for opportunities that they're not getting. But question is, now that we're going to the polls next year, what is it that the ANC is promising the people of Gauteng? What change is it promising? Because when you speak about service delivery, we are 29 years into democracy and we're still complaining about the same thing since 1994 till current. Whereas particularly the load shedding, the connectivity hadiyo. Young people are were complaining or they can't log on due to the effect of load shedding and transmitters that are not picking up network due to the load shedding. How are you guys going to better that situation in order for you to say, me as a voter who's going to vote, in order for me to vote for the ANC, what is it that you're going to give me that is better than what I'm currently getting?
Well, you will know that we are students of Amilcar Cabral. We tell no lies. We claim no easy victories. We would not behave like the EFF. and lie to people and say we will be able to give those on social grants, will give them 10,000, and that we will be able to tar and pave all the roads and promise them heaven and earth without giving them the realities. We don't go around saying that. We are very responsible in how we do our work, and that is the first thing that we do. We tell our people the truth and the reality of the challenges. In fact, we've been doing a study of the past 30 years of the ANC rule in Gauteng. And I can tell you what we've achieved is a miracle. If, for instance, if you go on education, in 1993, before we took over government, only 440 Black students wrote their final matric. And amongst the 440 who wrote their final matric, only
440,000 or 440?
440. We will send you the stats. We are doing those stats we are going to send to our people. And among the 440, less than 100 were able to qualify for university entrance. And less than 10 of those were able to afford to fund that education themselves. You can juxtapose it with the number of young people who wrote their final examination last year. You can juxtapose it with the number of young people who qualified to actually get university entrance. But you can finally juxtapose it with what we have in Gauteng called the Gauteng City Region Academy Bursary, which simply says all the public high schools in Gauteng, all the top 10 performing students in all those high schools are automatically given a fully paid bursary. That bursary covers for your tuition fee. That bursary covers for your accommodation. That bursary covers for your laptop first year, but also that bursary covers for your books as well as a stipend every month. Outside that, I don't want to speak about what National provides in terms of NFSAS. The second issue is that if you look at the number of schools that we built, where I grew up in Atteridgeville, there were only 4 schools. Atteridgeville, 4 schools, the entire township, 4 high schools. As we speak today, we have 18 high schools, and I can tell you the number of schools that we've built. We've built over 2.5 million RDP houses, which are hospitable. We've resurfaced roads in terms of roads. We are the only country in Africa that has a rapid transport system, but also that has a speed train, the How train. I'm sure you've taken that train when you wanted to push Cham. So there's a lot of work that we have done, and we are quantifying, because a lot of people are saying, what have you done? I just want to contextualize it, just once again. A lot of people are saying you've been in power for 30 years. But a lot of people are not trying to tell us what was happening before we took power, and where was the state of the economy, where were the state of our townships, how many black middle class were there before we took power, how many black middle class were able to afford houses
I get.
We have data that can be tested, which shows that we have done a lot of work.
I get everything that you're saying, but however, it's just that we ran out of time right now, and we just need to wrap up because we've got another interview. But in short, I can actually say to you, yes, you've mentioned everything that you guys, or what the ANC has achieved in the past 30 years. But there's only one issue that hasn't been dealt with. It's that at the end of the day, the economy is still being held by the very same people that used to actually run apartheid. And we, the Black people, are the economy. And at the end of the day, it's like we're tiptoeing around that issue. But it's another topic for another day.
Well, the issue, because you can't throw a question and then you want
No, it's not a question. Hence, I wish I could continue with it. It's just that right now we are out of time. But what you raised also, I wish we had more time, because I wanted to get into it, due to the fact that you are raising something that can be easily debated. But however,
let's give Lesego just about 2 minutes to conclude that thought. Yeah,
you are the chair.
Yeah, let's be fair to him.
Yeah. Thanks, Thamsanqa. Well, if what I derive comfort from the fact that somebody is able to leave Egypt to come to South Africa to sell rugs and to sell mirrors. Somebody is able to leave Ghana and come to South Africa to cut hair. Professor Ngungi wa Thiong'o said something profound in his book, The Devil on the Cross. He says that men can walk in a forest and still say there's no firewood, you know. I believe that there are a lot of economic opportunities that have been created. And I believe that in as much as there are many economic opportunities that have been created, we have to be able to arm our people with tools to take advantage of these opportunities. And that's why in our country, foreigners are able to come here in this country and take advantage of all those opportunities, while we find ourselves trapped in a biblical text called Lamentations, complaining and complaining. I believe that we've been able to create the black millionaires. If I can give you the statistics of how many black millionaires we had in 1993 compared to the ones we created now, including the black middle class and professionals, it's a lot.
That would be dangerous because you would now be venturing into comparisons of inequality also. You know, you've created so many millionaires and yet there are so many more poor people.
But that is a challenge that is one of the complexities of a mixed economy. I studied in the United States of America, one of the most unequal country in the world, where you have 1% of the population owning all the resources in the country. And I think that is the challenge that we face, because one of the things, and that's why the ANC believes in what we call the National Democratic Society, which all people are able to have equal opportunities. And those opportunities means having our people in the mainstream economy. And I think we still have a lot of work to do in that particular way, because even the millionaires that we have created, Thamsanqa, what they are not doing is that instead of the money that they've generated through democracy, through the ANC policies, instead of them building solid companies that are able to produce other millionaires, they then begin to embrace crass materialism and opulence. And that's why there's been a challenge that we're able to take Thamsanqa from grade 1 construction until he gets to grade 9. When he gets to grade 9, he becomes the celebrity of where he comes from. He goes there flaunting his cars. He's on Instagram flaunting his wealth and everywhere else. And these are some of the challenges that we face. But we need to follow the trajectory of the Asian tigers, where
can we take up this discussion at another time? I think we'll implore our producer to definitely help us to engage with you further, because there are very interesting economic questions that we're getting to explore through this discussion. In conclusion, is your campaign for voter registration closed, or is it ongoing, and how do people interact with you?
Well, the campaign for voter registration is not closed; it's ongoing. People can still go online and still register with the IEC, but also in regional offices, those who would want to physically go and work. So we've not demobilized our structures on the ground. We're going to treat every day like the past weekend. We will be working on the ground to help our people to register, to help our people ensure that they're on the ballot, and to also help them that they are able to vote ANC and defend the gains of our democracy, which are a lot, which we've done so much based on the data that we have. But we also are humble to say there's still a long way to go. There's still a lot of work that we still need to do to ensure that everyone in this country does not go to bed hungry, but we're able to put our people in the mainstream economy. We're able to continue to change the living conditions of our people and put them into better communities, and that they enjoy quality of life. So we are saying to our people, go and register and vote, especially young people, and defend the gains of our democracy. They have been reversed If, for instance, in Tshwane, where there's the DA which was running that city, they have been reversed. In Ekurhuleni, where the DA ran the city, they have been reversed. In Johannesburg, where the DA was running that city. We don't want what is happening to Tshwane to happen to the whole of Gauteng.
Thank you very much, Lesego Makhubela, the spokesperson of the ANC in Gauteng. Very informative, and definitely will engage the producers to get into contact with you so that we have a longer discussion around the economics of Gauteng in particular.
We're always available for the interviews, and thank you very much. I wish that your online radio station can grow with more numbers and young people coming in to listen to it. Thank you very much. We will promote it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Tebza, that was very informative and very, very insightful discussions with Mr. Makhubela, Lesego Makhubela.
Yes.
And like these kind of discussions always get us to a point where we really want to engage more and more, and the times we have are very limited. Also, the difficulty of connectivity in our country is a problem. It delays a lot of things, but we're thankful for that engagement. We shall be next. I think we are going to be engaged with another one right now.
Mr. Horn, Erna Horn from the DA.
Yeah, let's be back in about a minute.